Now, another major challenge facing Syria's new rulers is how to shape the various rebel factions into one professional military under the new defense ministry. This week, the new government announced that they've installed at least 6 foreign fighters in the country's new armed forces and given senior roles to several jihadist fighters, worrying minority groups in Syria. Now, the new official appointments include 3 Uyghur fighters. Since 2013, thousands of Uyghurs, that's the Muslim separatist minority group from Western China, traveled to Syria and other countries in the Middle East after China began cracking down hard on its Uyghur population. Now, many joined the Turkestan Islamic Party, which fought alongside al-Qaeda and other terror groups in the Syrian civil war. Now they've been given a role in the future of the country, and they're vowing to take the fight all the way to China.
Şamda, Allah'ın izni bilen, Ma'arif-Nomanda, Xan Şeyxunda, Hamada, Himizda bizning oldimizdan Şerik Basharning yallalmalari qanday qaçqan bo'lsa, Allah'ın izni bilen, Allah'ın kudreti bilen, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala jabaruti bilen biiznillah bizning Urumchida, Aqsuda, Qashqarda oldimizda Xitoy kafirlar Qashqarda o'xshab qochadi biiznillah azza va jalla. Nahnu الإخوان والمهاجرين من تركستان شرقية، بعضكم يقول سمعاني تركستان شرقية، بعضكم يقول سمعاني تركستان شرقية. طبعا. هو حاليا تحت احتلال صهيوني منذ 65-70 سنة، وكنا هاجرنا من بلادنا، والأصل أخرجونا من بلدنا وظلمونا وقتلونا وسجنونا وأخرجونا من بلدنا وتركنا البلد وأتينا، ونقول نحن أخوانكم ما أتينا لأجل نزعجكم ولا نسيئكم. إن شاء الله سوف ترون منا كل الخير بإذن الله عز وجل كما رأينا منكم كل الخير منذ 12 سنة.
And joining me now is Carice Whitty, founder and executive director of the Signal Group. To try to break this down a little bit for us, Carice, thank you so much for joining us this evening. How worrying is a development like this for China?
I've heard directly from some of my colleagues there that this is actually quite a concern. There is a certain amount of understanding that the government that's forming now in Syria will look to balance the relationships and will not want to antagonize China by providing TIP with too much power and allowing it to go forward with, what we just heard, with some of these threats that it's made towards China. At the same time, there's been such a deep concern by the Chinese of the battle-hardened Syrian Uyghurs for over a decade. China had observers in Syria for many years trying to keep track of them and their families, and actually set up checkpoints in Turkmenistan to make sure that these fighters did not make their way into China across Afghanistan. So there's a deep, deep concern. There's a great fear in China of terrorism. It took extreme measures in order to prevent that. And so this development is very concerning for them.
All right, and China has said that it is willing, of course, to work with the new Syrian leadership. How does the inclusion and, I guess, acceptance of these Uyghur fighters influence that?
China will expect that the leaders, the HIT, will put the Uyghur role in such a position that they will not be able to act on, some of the things that they have said. And in general, China is really sort of stuck between a rock and a hard place. It wants to have a relationship with Syria. It also wants to motivate that government to rein in the Uyghurs. So it is likely that China will offer a number of ways of providing support in order to ensure that, or at least, create some kind of motivation for it to keep the Uyghurs away from China and away from pursuing those interests.
Right, and on a broader scale, China has worked, of course, for years to increase its influence in the Middle East, in the region, and at the same time, Beijing has been cracking down on its Muslim population for years, the Uyghurs, with terrible stories coming out. How is China positioning itself in the face of the current regional power dynamic?
regardless of what happens here in the region, China does seem to manage to garner support from the 22 Arab states, also Turkey and Iran, when it comes to the Uyghur issue. When European ambassadors would write letters against China regarding what was taking place in Xinjiang, China would immediately come with, double the amount of signatories from Muslim states supporting China's approach. So it's true that after Israel's successes and the strategic losses by Iran in the region, China realized that its power to influence on a political and diplomatic level is not what it thought. At the same time, China's economic influence and digital Silk Road, undersea cables, all of these areas that China is very strong in, it will continue to grow and continue to cultivate these very important relationships where China is the largest trading partner of almost everyone in the region. So while they don't have the diplomacy and the politics going for them, they do have the all-important finance, economics, and trade going for them.
Guess we'll see how much money talks here. Carice Witte, thank you very much for your input and analysis.
Great pleasure. Thank you so much.